All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive. Today we are tackling dining chairs.
Dining
Yeah,
chairs?
well, not just any chairs.
Right.
We're looking at this company, ASKT, and their whole new fabric they've come up with, ASKT-TEX it's called.
Okay.
And they're saying, they've solved all these problems that we've all had with dining chairs. And I think we probably all have, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So to do this, we've got a dissertation all about it.
Yeah, it's a deep dive into the science of these chairs.
And it is fascinating.
Oh,
So
that is.
let's just jump in, all right? So first of all, what's the problem that they're even trying to solve?
Okay, so think about it like dining chairs, they have to do a lot, right?
They do.
Comfortable for those long dinners, maybe game night goes a little late,
Yeah.
and of course spills,
Oh, for sure.
got to be able to resist those, and then just think about how much wear and tear they get over the years.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kids, pets, all of that.
Exactly, so you want comfortable, you want durable, you want it stain resistant.
You want it all.
Right, that's a lot to ask of a fabric.
Yeah. And I feel like so often you get one or the other.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's comfy, but then one spill and it's ruined.
Right, or it's super durable, but it feels like you're sitting on plastic.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
It's about finding that balance.
Right. So that's where ASKP-TEX comes in.
That's what they're claiming.
So what makes it so different?
Well, they're really focusing on those three key things we talked about: breathability, stain resistance, and how it holds up to abrasion.
They tested it.
They did a ton of testing, and I have to say, the results are pretty impressive.
Okay, see, that's where I get a little skeptical.
Huh.
You know,
Yeah,
lab results, that's one thing.
right.
But real world use.
Yeah, that's the real test.
That's what I want to know.
Absolutely, and we'll get to that for sure.
Okay, good.
But first, let's dive into some of the science, at least what they're presenting here.
All right, sounds good.
So, breathability, super important for comfort. Right?
Yeah, nobody wants to be stuck to the chair.
Exactly. So they use this measure called MVTR, moisture vapor transmission rate.
Oh, okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah, basically how easily moisture, like sweat, can pass through the fabric.
The higher the number, the better, right?
Exactly. And ASKT-TEX scored really high here, like way better than a lot of typical fabrics.
Oh, wow. So how did they achieve that?
Well, this is where it gets kind of cool. They've used this technique called microcracking in the coating of the fabric.
Micro cracking, what is that?
So it's basically these tiny, tiny cracks. You can't even see them, but they let moisture escape without making the fabric weaker.
Interesting. So it's breathable, but still strong.
Yeah, pretty clever.
That is clever. Okay, so what about stains? I feel like that's the ultimate test for any dining chair.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Red wine, spaghetti sauce, you name it.
Exactly. So what did they throw at this ASKT-TEX?
All right, so get this. They tested it with sodium hypochlorite.
Sodium hypo... What?
Sodium hypochlorite. It's
Yeah.
basically bleach.
Bleach. They put bleach on this fabric.
They did. And get this, it resisted penetration for an average of 168 hours.
Wait, 168 hours? That's a week.
A whole week. Most fabrics would have given up way sooner.
Wow. Okay, that is impressive.
So think about it. Spills, even bleach, much less likely to leave a stain.
That's a game changer.
Easy cleanup, chairs that last longer. It's a win-win.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal here, but what about, just general wear and tear, like kids climbing all over them, scooting chairs back and forth?
Yeah, good point.
How do you even test for that?
Well, they use this thing called the double rub test, which basically simulates the friction of someone shifting in their seat over and over.
Okay.
And ASKT-TEX showed a 25% improvement in tear resistance compared to your average fabric.
That's huge.
Yeah, so it seems like it can handle a lot more roughhousing.
Okay, so far so good.
Right.
But did they do any other tests?
Oh, yeah. Tons.
Like what?
Well, they looked at tensile strength, which is how much pulling and stretching it can handle.
Makes sense.
Again, really good results, especially if you've got, kids who like to test the limits of furniture.
Yeah, or pets. Those can be just as bad.
Oh, absolutely. And they also tested for color fastness, so making sure the color doesn't fade easily.
That's important.
Yeah, and ASKT-TEX passed with flying colors, no pun intended.
So it seems like this fabric is exceeding expectations in every category.
So far, yeah.
But are there any downsides? Anything they found that wasn't so great?
Well, that's a great question, and it's where I think we have to look beyond just the lab results.
Right, because those are perfect conditions.
Exactly.
So we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
All right, good. I'm intrigued.
Me too.
So we've talked about the science, all those tests.
Yeah, pretty impressive stuff.
It is, but like, how are they actually going to bring this to market?
Right, they gotta have a plan.
They're a business, not just a lab.
Exactly. And the dissertation actually gives us some insight into their strategy.
Oh, okay, so what are they thinking?
Well, it seems like they're aiming pretty broad, both commercial and residential.
So like restaurants
Restaurants, hotels, you name it.
and of course homes.
Our homes, yeah.
So they're not just going after like super high-end furniture makers.
Right. It seems like they're trying to make this accessible, emphasizing the cost effectiveness.
Okay, but new technology, that usually comes at a higher price tag.
It does, but their argument is that, yeah, it might cost a bit more upfront,
Uh-huh.
but the durability, the stain resistance, it'll save money in the long run.
So like you don't have to replace them as often.
Exactly. Less cleaning, fewer replacements, it adds up, especially for a business like a restaurant.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess that ties into the whole sustainability thing too.
Oh, for sure. They're definitely playing that up. Longer lasting furniture means less waste.
Less stuff ending up in landfills.
Exactly. So they're appealing to the practical side and the eco-conscious side.
Smart move for sure, hitting all the right notes. But I can't help but think about like other fabric innovations, microfiber, Gore-Tex.
Yeah.
Those took a while to catch on.
They did. There's always that skepticism with new tech, right?
People want to see proof, like, does it actually work in the real world?
Right. Lab tests are one thing, but everyday life is another.
Exactly. That's what I want to know. Like, how does it hold up to, you know, spilled juice and pets and...
The chaos of life.
Yes, exactly.
And that's something we just can't get from the dissertation, no matter how many tests they ran.
So what do we do? Like, how do we figure that out?
Well, we need real-world data. How's it performing in actual restaurants, homes?
And that takes time.
It does. And even then, there are so many variables, right?
Like what?
Different cleaning methods, how much wear and tear it's getting, even the climate can play a role.
It's complicated.
It is, yeah, not a simple answer.
So what kind of challenges do you think ASKT might face? Like the furniture industry, that's a tough one to crack, right?
It can be. There's often resistance to change, especially if it means spending more money.
So they really got to prove that ASKT-TEX is worth it.
Exactly. It's not just about the science. It's about the value proposition.
Showing those manufacturers that it'll pay off in the end.
Right. And that's a long game, collecting data, analyzing it, making that case.
It reminds me of like when electric cars first came out.
Yeah, I see that.
All this potential, but it took a while for everyone to get on board.
It did. Needed that infrastructure, the consumer confidence.
And it's the same here. Those early adopters, their experiences, that's going to be huge.
Absolutely. They'll shape how people see ASK2-TEX.
And that's where our listeners come in.
Oh, yeah. This is where we need your help.
If you've seen this fabric, if you've sat on a chair made with ASKT-TEX,
Let us know.
we want to hear all about it.
The good, the bad, the ugly. How's it holding up?
Is it living up to the hype?
We're relying on you guys, our field researchers out there.
Help us understand this technology, and we'll, of course, share what we learn.
And in part 3, we'll take an even broader view. What could this mean for the future of furniture?
The big picture stuff.
It's going to be good. Stick with us.
Okay, so we've got the science, we've got the business side.
Uh-huh.
Now I kind of want to zoom out, like, look at the big picture.
The big picture, yeah.
What could this ASKT-TEX, like, what could it really mean?
It's getting philosophical now.
A little bit, right. It's not just about, like, a better chair.
No, it's bigger than that.
Yeah, so how could one fabric, like, change an entire industry?
Well, think about where we are now, right? Fast furniture, cheap materials.
Stuff breaks down so fast.
Exactly. It ends up in a landfill. You got to buy a new one. It's a cycle.
It's a bad cycle.
Yeah, not sustainable for the planet or our wallets.
Totally. Like, you get a new chair, it looks great for like a year, maybe 2.
Right.
And then, boom, the fabric's wearing out. There's a stain you can't get out.
Back to the store.
Ugh, it's so frustrating.
And that's what ASKT-TEX is trying to disrupt, right?
What if it works?
If it works, exactly. But if it truly delivers on that durability, the longevity...
Furniture that lasts like a decade or more.
That's the goal. Less waste, less replacements. It's a different way of thinking.
It's almost like going back to the old days, when people bought furniture to last a lifetime.
There's a shift happening, I think. People are more aware of the impact of their choices.
Sustainability is a big deal now.
It is, and consumers, they're looking for products that reflect that.
But it can't just be consumers, right? Manufacturers have to buy in too.
Absolutely. That's the other side of the equation.
Like, will they embrace a new material? Especially if it means maybe selling fewer chairs.
That's the tough question, right?
So it comes back to that value proposition again.
It always does.
ASKT has got to show them, prove that these chairs last longer, less maintenance. It saves everyone money.
Then the industry will listen.
Yeah, it's like Buy nice or buy twice.
Yeah, exactly. Invest in a quality piece. You
Yeah.
won't need to replace it every few years.
It's a mindset shift.
It is, moving away from disposable culture.
Thinking about the things we buy, how long they last, what happens to them.
The whole life cycle.
So ASKT-TEX, it's more than just a fabric.
It's an idea.
It's a potential catalyst for change.
I like that, a catalyst.
But, like we've said, we need the real-world data.
We do. How's it performing out there in homes, restaurants?
That's where you all come in, our listeners.
Yeah. You're the key.
If you've encountered ASKT-TEX, let us know.
Tell us everything.
Good, bad, did it live up to the hype?
Your experiences, that's what's going to help us understand all this.
We're at the beginning of this journey. It's going to be fascinating to see where it goes.
And we'll be here to cover it every step of the way.
Absolutely. So thanks for joining us for this deep dive into ASKT-TEX. We'll be back next week with a whole new topic.
Always something new to explore.
So until then, keep those chairs comfy and those spills at bay.
And let us know if you find one made with ASKT-TEX.
We want to hear all about it. See you next time.